Well, this is Baruch Fleischman. I'm here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and it's my pleasure. This is a beautiful picture of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Memran. So maybe it's a little bit more white now. You can see him on the internet. He has different things that he gives. His yeshiva is called Torah Sachen. You can find it from there. All different kinds of things that he's produced. And it could be very subtle what Rabbi Memran has to say. Here we're learning the practices of meditation from the great Rav, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan. So he says, after the meditation is over, remain in place for approximately 5 minutes. Now you've done this repetition. Perhaps you've done this concentration on a pasuk. Perhaps you have a mixture. Perhaps you said it fast. Sometimes you said it slow. He said that gently is the way to do this. So after the meditation is over, you should stay there in your place for about 5 minutes, allowing the mind to observe the effects of the meditation. You also need some time to come back down. You know, Rabbi Nachman and all the Kabbalists talk about Bak Beratz, Bak Beshuv. You have to know how to get up. You have to know how to get down. There are many, many drushes on that phrase. But also learning how to come back down again before returning to your daily routine. Again, you may wish to hum a soft melody during this period. It should be a time of intimate closeness with the divine. So now he writes, you may wish to use the moments following meditation to have a short conversation with God. Once again, this is Rabbi Nachman speaking to God. As mentioned earlier, Rabbi Nachman saw mantra meditation primarily as a means of preparing for such a divine conversation. Now, that's really important because I'm, of course, the Breslov. I like Rabbi Nachman very much. And you see how much Rabbi Memran is really saying. I say that in practical terms of where we're at in the year, Jewish year 5783, 2023, something that somebody lowly like me can try to practice. So he said, but here he says that Rabbi Nachman, where he talks about his bodhidus, which is just another name for meditation, that his bodhidus is the really preparation for a divine conversation, because in that conversation, that's where your needs come. Really, if you made the connection, which he saw as a higher type of meditation, he saw that actually talking to God is a higher type of meditation. In any case, one can feel very close to God after a meditation, and it is a good time to express that closeness. Whereas Eastern schools, talking about the Hindus and the Buddhists, etc., see mantra meditation as an end in itself. Jewish sources indicate that that it is more of a preparation for a deeper spiritual experience. If you're able to use this to take, he says, just take 5 minutes. You could take as long as you want, but then you could have a conversation with God. So some sources state that after meditating, one should smell fragrant spices or perfumes so as to re-involve oneself in the physical world. It is also prescribed that some light food be eaten shortly afterwards, since through the blessing the food can elevate the entire body. Another simple type of meditation is contemplation. Now, what is that? I have discussed this form of meditation in the previous chapter, says Rabbi Kaplan, in the concept of his bonenut. His bonenut is not exactly the same. It sounds a lot like his bodhidus, but it's his bonenut, which is understanding, which is contemplation. But here I shall discuss it in a further detail and in practical terms. Contemplation. Now, what is contemplation? Here we talk about the mantra. We've been talking about that, the mantra. But contemplation consists in sitting and concentrating on an object, word, or idea, letting it fill the entire mind. So something that I remember from my youth is when I read the book by, I can't remember his name right now, James Michener, called The Source. It was really something that really turned me on to Jewish history, because the source was the idea of people digging into one of these tremendous tells that you find in Israel, these mountainous mounds, which contain different periods in history. If you go back through those mounds, you start digging through, you find all kinds of cities that used to be there. So they're not there anymore, but city built on top of city. So over there, one of these stories is about a man stuck in Spain who's actually Jewish, married to a Gentile. And he is stuck in Spain. But he keeps meditating and he sees the name of Hashem, Yud-Keh, Vav-Keh, on the wall. That is something that one could meditate on. This is an excellent introductory meditation. Insofar as it did not require any background in meditation or any advanced knowledge of Hebrew or Judaism, you could do it in English, I guess. The techniques are the same as those of mantra meditation, except that the experience is visual rather than verbal. People have different approaches. So he writes, simple contemplation consists of gazing at an object for a fixed period of time. As in all forms of meditation, one should be as comfortable as possible. There is no need to avoid blinking the eyes, since this can lead to discomfort. Rather, one should sit and gaze at the object of contemplation in the most relaxed manner possible. The object of contemplation can be almost anything: a pretty stump, a leaf, a flower, or written material. And Rabbi Nachman talked about previously about the beauty. About beauty. When you see beauty, it's really a manifestation of godliness. Doesn't mean the person's a saint, but it means that here you can see the creation of God in its perfection. Pictures, images, and statues, however, to be avoided, since contemplating them is dangerously close to idolatry. As in the case of mantra meditation, one should sit quietly in the meditation place, adjusting to the space. The meditation contemplation itself should take between 20 and 30 minutes. After the meditation, one should remain still for 5 or 10 minutes, absorbing the effects of the exercise. Visual contemplation is valuable in many respects. I have spoken earlier of visualization, in which one creates images in the mind's eye. Contemplation is a very good introduction to this practice. Once a person has learned to look at an object directly, he can also learn to control his vision. Contemplation engraves the image in the mind's eye. This image can then be conjured up even when the object is not present. Now, exactly what image is he talking about? I don't know. So let's find out. He says, you can begin by using the object of contemplation as a focus or unstructured meditation. This would mean gazing at the object while letting the mind drift off in any direction it desires. The contemplation focuses the mind, but thought is left unbridled. Now, let me go back over this again for myself. He says the way you can do this contemplation is to focus on structural meditation. So it's unstructured. You don't have to, it's not a have to. This would mean gazing at the object. Let's take an object, any object, while letting the mind drift off in any direction it desires. The contemplation focuses the mind, but thought is left unbridled. So you can think whatever comes into your mind. You could think about how to restructure your life, about the meaning of life, or about any other subject important to you. Rather than being the goal of meditation, contemplation is an adjunct to a meaningful, unstructured meditation. As one becomes more advanced, then, one gradually learns how to fill the mind with the visual image of the object of contemplation, banishing all other thought. This is very much like mantra meditation. Since you get better at it, you could look at the word or the object and eliminate all the other ideas, except that instead of filling the mind with a word or phrase, it is filled with an image. Extraneous thoughts are also shunted aside in a similar manner. Whenever a thought enters the mind, it is gently pushed aside. Gently. He keeps mentioning the word gently. The entire attention fixed on the object of contemplation. Okay, that's going to be the shiur today. This is Baruch Fleischman of the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. We've been listening to Rabbi Memron bring us Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan. This is the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.